happy to have him here on the line. Prof, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Star.
Good morning, my brother. A quick correction. I'm not a professor. I'm a doctor.
Dr. Asa Asante.
Yes.
Maybe we are seeing into the future.
Let's move on.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Morning Star this morning. Getting into the conversations which still rage on this issue of founder and Founders Day and all of that, and the president, stirring up the conversation again about rejecting the notion completely that only one person founded Ghana, among other things. Politically speaking, is the president doing himself and his party any favors by continuing to push this conversation for the nation to accept that perhaps we shouldn't only be looking at Kwame Nkrumah, but we should be looking at everybody else who was involved in the independence struggle?
This question keeps coming every year.
Yeah.
Okay. In fact, a lot of journalists call me.
It keeps emerging.
Yes, I was just busy on my work and doing stuff, but it's becoming boring. It hasn't helped anybody and all that. But to set the record straight, all right, and I would say that I was not wrong in saying that Founders Day cannot be attributed to one person. The president was not wrong at all. Why? I admit the massive contribution by Kwame Nkrumah when he joined the UGCC to fight in the 40s, to fight for independence. There's no doubt about that. Let's look at it this way. Whether attributes, or that position, you can credit Nkrumah alone. Look at, before independence, there was a chief in Zamaland called Kwekuyaka. Remember, at that time, the capital of Ghana was in Cape Coast. Kwekuyaka resisted the British expansion into Zamaland and said that, no, I'm not going to allow that. Because he has seen all the colonial government against the people of the colonies, and he thought it wise to Nzamaland. He stopped them. He said, Nzamaland belongs to Nzama people. He's not going to allow them. What was Kwekuyaka doing? Was dependence of his people. That contribution should not be thrown away. That is one. The was Kinagri. And remember, in traditional, the role, if you look at the function of the chief, it's a lot, and include what? The fact that the chief is the judge. He preside over cases established in his English court, and they were doing virtually the same duties as the king. So the king saw that and that he was not going to allow that. So he resisted that. The British grabbed him, took him to Sierra Leone, manhandled him. Nobody recognized or remembered Kinagri of Cape Coast, and it's what the fight against British rule. That aside, look at Nicola Boni, the Usialata Manche, who went around organizing people to boycott European commodities at the time and saying that, remember, that was the time that the British had established the Association of West African Merchants, who were responsible for merchandise trade in the country. And the local people, including Pa Grant and Co., were not given opportunity to take part in this process. He was angry about that. He organized people to what? Resist, colonial rule by what? Boycotting European commodities and all that. Remember, it is right. At that time too, we also saw the soldiers who were walking into what? The castle to demand the award, some benefit from the British, and they were shot at that. All these things put together let Nkrumah declare what tactical action that people should not go to work and the rest of them. All right. And that became one of the things for the struggle for independence and all that. Of law, who also resisted the colonial authority, the system had imposed a lot of taxation on them. They could not bear that, so they resisted that. The British challenged them, and to the extent that they bombed them, and the people said, look, never. You can kill all of us, they will not pay. Are you with me? What were all these people fighting for? They were fighting for what? The liberation of the country from the shackles and tentacles of colonial rule and to establish a society for their own. What about also the contribution of the UGCC members who, Pagrant and Dankwa, who thought it while that there was a smart guy called Kwame Nkrumah in the US, that his addition into what the group will do as good. Let's bring him. And of course, they bought a ticket for him, Grant did that, and then they invited him, he came and supported, and he did all the contributions. If you say all that, after looking at all the things, you want to credit one person for having what? Independence, and for that matter, is the founder of modern Ghana, then you are not fair to all these people. New Kabraboni, the role that he played, who has honored him? Who knows him? The Kinagiri, his contribution towards the struggle against independence. Who knows that? Kwekwiaka and all that. You think Nzima people do not deserve this one too? All right. I tell you, all these factors came together, or the emancipation of what? The Ghanaian people from what? The shackles and tentacles of colonial rule. And had what? A colony, a country we call our own. So you cannot discount the contribution of all this. So on the score, I am on the side of the president. Founders Day is for all those who contribute small towards the fight against what? Colonial.
So in all of this, where do we situate Kwame Nkrumah? Do we put him on a certain pedestal because of his influence as well? And considering that some of his actions also sort of sparked a chain reaction across the African continent as regards the independence movement?
I must also say that for Kwame Nkrumah, his contribution in Ghana and Africa, but we are talking about the issue of what the Founders Day,
right.
Either apostrophe S or S apostrophe.
Or S apostrophe.
That's the issue we are talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that it's Founders Day, all right? All these people contributed. But Akufo Nkrumah is like having gained independence, and he became the leader, and he was doing his record. What is there? And you don't need a soothsayer to point it to you.
Right.
They are ubiquitous.
Right.
It's all over.
Right. Now, let's switch our attention to something else. The president is almost ending his tenure. We've got just about 4 months to elections. The president, Akufo-Addo, is declaring that having served nearly 8 years in office as president, he considers the December 7 elections as his last challenge, the last challenge that he has to deal with before he retires from office on January 7, 2025. Of course, when he was addressing senior citizens, he made this call. Previously, we've heard the president say things like he's not going to hand over power to anybody apart from an MPP government and all of that. But this time around, he just talks about the fact that it is his last challenge and he's going to ensure that there is a free and fair elections. What do you make of this seeming shift in tone, towards the end of the president's tenure?
Aristotle, the greatest of all, gives us something as food for thought when we are looking at politics. He said, when you are in politics, you need to examine your life. Because anybody than what his own party member and all. Right. Look within.
Okay. Yeah. Hello, Prof. Your line is breaking a bit. We're struggling to hear you on this one. Your line is breaking a bit. I don't know if there's a repositioning that can be done.
The thing is where I'm seated, and
okay.
I have not changed anything.
Okay. I think it's better now.
No.
I think it's better now.
You're saying that President is a human being like you and I, and maybe he has reflected on he could have in another way. That's why on no wrong about that. It is always good because Aristotle said that the unexamined life is not worth living. So anything you do or say at a point in time, you assess yourself. Self-introspection is critical, all right? Because one foundation of politics is virtue, and it comes out of all some of these. So you need that. So, and now he has changed the discourse to mean that he will ensure that there's free and fair election. It is his duty. He cannot shirk that responsibility, all right? Because we won that. This country, since January 7, 1993, we swore an oath that we will chart the path of democracy and that we will support the tenets of the democracy, including elections, and we are not looking at any other election than free and fair election. Where free and fair election means that it's one of the election type where there is there is absence of or it is devoid of irregularity. So any irregularities are not welcome in such election. And then at the end of the day, those who contest election, whenever they declare somebody a winner, they all accept defeat and abide by the rules of the game. Anybody who disagrees will not take cutlass or gun or arm, but you go to court and then seek redress from a competent court of jurisdiction, which we have in this country. So that's it. The president has set the tone for a beautiful conversation. But you see, we need something that goes beyond mere saying that they would ensure that there's free and fair election. We need to walk the talk. You should come out with more assuring messages. We saw shooting and killing in the last election. What is he saying about that? What is he promising us in that respect? And that is what we want to hear from him. We want to see that violence, all right, which have characterized Ghanaian politics sometimes. I'm not saying all the time. Sometimes you see bits and pieces or flashpoints and all that. What are the assurances in there that this time around we are going to have an improved form of it? Let me credit all government in the Fourth Republic, including this government, that they've done their bit to end violence and all that. But it's not enough because every election there are challenges and all that. What I have realized in Ghanaian politics is that there are problems that confront us from 1992 up to today. But any time we are going for elections, political actors, through deliberate and sometimes.
Hello, Prof. Are you there? Oh, too bad, too bad. We
seem to have lost Dr. Asa Santi on the line. We'll try and work the line and get him back, of course, but he was answering the question to the effect that as elections are drawing close, the president's language is changing, and that is for the better. You're still listening to the Morning Star here on Star 103.5 FM. And we've got another conversation coming up, quite an interesting one. So make sure that you stay tuned in for that. But Dr. Asa Asante is the Director for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Of course, he is also a political science lecturer speaking to us this morning here on the Morning Star.
All right, I think we have Dr. Asasante back on the line. Doc, we lost you earlier there, but you were finishing up on that point that you were making.
Yes, I'm saying that we want our president to walk the talk by making sure that some of the challenges we have experienced over the years will be of the past, if not completely eradicated, a nip in the back, so that at the end of the day, we can go to the election smoothly and come out smoothly. It's important that we have that. So all the factors responsible for ensuring free and fair, the one that he has a direct responsibility to ensure that it works, he should make sure that they work, providing adequate security, making sure that security is top notch, and then what? Helping to deal with violence that have characterized some as a free and peaceful atmosphere for electoral processes to take place. Yes, the government has been doing a lot in that direction, but we want more.
All right.
As children of Oliver, we want more.
Okay. Very well, Doc. We're grateful that you've spoken to us here on the Morning Star. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, and that's Dr. Asasante finishing up his submission here on the Morning Star this morning. Like I told you earlier, he's the director for the Center for European Studies. He's a political science lecturer. And of course, he's also waded into that conversation which has been going on.